And the decision to resign, effectively, talk us through that, because effectively in the letter that was shared, you basically said that you just didn't want to go through this public process again of having your integrity impugned.
I don't think that was I didn't see a letter to that effect. I didn't write a letter and said I didn't want to go through this. I simply said I'm resigning. The decision was informed by the following.
Sure.
Number one, when the JSC said, when it met now in October, because of my legal problems, the MK party was not represented. We are supposed to have sent someone there to go and represent the MK party. Because of my ongoing legal problems, my political party, the MK, was not represented. The JSC is going to sit again in April next year and again in October next year. I doubt if the Constitutional Court will have resolved that. So resigning was strategic so that the party can deploy somebody else. Once my legal problems are over, I have no doubt I'm going back to the JSC.
Interesting.
I'm going back to the JSC, assuming, of course, that the Constitutional Court will clear me. The interesting argument advanced by the DA was that I was impeached because I'm immoral. And that argument is seriously pursued before courts of law. Since when are courts in South Africa courts of morals? They are courts of law. Morals have no role to play as far as the legal system is concerned. Apartheid was completely immoral as a legal system. But could you advance that argument before judges and say this whole legal system, because black people are not represented, is immoral and therefore these laws must not be obeyed? The courts everywhere in the world are courts of law. They are not courts of morals. But in South Africa, when Hlophe is litigating, the courts wear a different hat. They become courts of morals. It's absurd, to say the least. It's insane. Let's start with the doctrine of parliamentary sovereignty. There are many countries that are like that. Let's take the UK, for example. There is no written constitution in England. Parliament is supreme. It passes the laws as and when it wishes. I think when the constitution was adopted in 1994 and ultimately the final constitution in 1996, we feared the doctrine of parliamentary sovereignty because of apartheid. We were excluded from government. We had no right to vote because of apartheid. So I think South Africans wanted something totally different. And we ended up, here we are with this constitution. But let us unpack the constitution. What has it done for black people? Nothing. The starting point is Section 25 of the Constitution, which presupposes that all of us have land, and therefore we must retain that land. It is historically incorrect, right? We all know the history of this country, i.e. we were colonized and our land was taken away from us at gunpoint, right? Now, to turn around in terms of Section 25 and say, where you expropriate land, you must provide adequate compensation. Basically, we're being called upon to compensate thieves who stole our land. So I have a conceptual problem with that. But I think a lot of South Africans are happy with the current constitution for different reasons. Black people, they know nothing better because we're under apartheid. It was a breath of fresh air. Yet this constitution hasn't done much for black people. If anything, the rate of poverty, the level of poverty has increased. The number of people who sleep under the bridges is sky high. Unemployment, as we talk now, is 32%. I think going for almost 33%. Among the youth is over 60%. So that constitution has clearly not worked. And when you look at it, for me, we are better off with parliamentary supremacy and judges who can think out of the box. Judges who are transformed. Judges who have a clear vision. Judges who know where we're coming from. Judges who understand our history. And obviously judges who are not racist. That's why I would support the doctrine of parliamentary supremacy, because the Constitution has not done anything for me and many people who are black like me. Now we turn to your next question. The problem with Roman Dutch law, often when we say Roman Dutch law or English law must go, they think it's because we have failed to master it. We have not. We have mastered it. We know it in and out.
You tutored it at Cambridge.
We know it. We have mastered it. We know it. But we don't want it. There is a reason for that. It's a foreign legal system which was imposed on us at the expense of indigenous practices and customs. We were never given a chance to choose between indigenous laws that governed us before we were colonized and Roman Dutch law. So that's why we say in the MK party, we must take the land from those who stole it and give it back to our kings so that the land belongs to the nation. That is exactly what used to happen before 1652. Because if you take the land, but you still have the courts, be it the Constitutional Court or the High Court or whatever, schooled in Roman Dutch law, which recognizes the concept of private ownership. Mind you, there's a conflict of laws here. Roman Dutch law, English law recognize the concept of private ownership. According to indigenous practices and customary law, the land could never be the subject of private ownership. So you have to choose between these two extremes. I'm saying bring back what we're used to so that the land can belong to all of us. There would be no poverty in this country. No one will be sleeping under the bridge. No one will be homeless. And if we do that and we bring back subsistence farming, we will go a long way in this country.